Hello, hope everybody's doing well out there. It's March 18th, and today I was going to try to do a short video on minor key signatures. So a 10th grader in the Dixon High School Band would demonstrate that they know minor key signatures by answering verbally the question, for example, what's the key signature for G minor? And they would say to me, that's two flats, B flat and E flat. Same process is for major key signatures with 9th graders. Also the same is the order of flats and sharps. Major keys and minor keys aren't any different in that regard. So the order of flats is again B, E, A, D, G, C, F. And backwards is the order of sharps, F, C, G, D, A, E, B. And you can kind of picture that or use one of those methods that I explained in the other video to memorize that, or just say it enough times that it just rolls off your tongue. So the difference is you lower notes to make something minor. When you make a chord minor, you lower the middle note of a triad, the third, by a half step. So it's important to remember that you're lowering pitches in relation from major to minor. So if you're lowering a natural, like an E, you would lower it by a half step and it would become an E flat. If you had a note that was like a sharp, like an F sharp, and you lowered it by a half step, it would become a natural. So in thinking of key signatures, if you had a key signature with no sharps or flats, like the key of C, to make that C major, C minor, you just add 3 flats. Well, which flats? The first 3 flats in the order of flats, B, E, A. And if you had sharps, say for the key of A has 3 sharps, you have F sharp, C sharp, and G sharp, you went from A major to A minor, you would take away those 3 sharps. So it's pretty simple. I should mention there's a couple of examples where you can't go from a major key signature to the relative minor because there would be too many flats. So if you had a 4 flat major key signature, that would be A flat major, and you added 3 flats, you lowered 3 notes to make it a minor key signature, that would be 7 flats. That would be B, E, A, D, G, C, F. That's all of the flats. You only have 7 different letters in the musical alphabet. So you can't have an 8 flat key signature. So if you start with a major key that has 5 flats, D flat has 5 flats, you can't add 3 to that. So then we have to switch it to the enharmonic equivalent. And I use that term in the major key signatures. I talked about how there's 2 names for the same pitch. So a D flat is a C sharp. They're the same thing. They look different, but they sound the same. So we don't say D flat minor, we say C sharp minor. So C sharp minor has 4 sharps. And then which sharps? Well, they'd be F, C, G, and D. And the same thing's true for G flat minor. G flat minor, G flat had 6 flats, so you can't add 3 more to that. So you have to switch from G flat to the enharmonic equivalent, which is F sharp, and that would only have 3 sharps. So that's F, C, and G. So I generally recommend to kids, band kids, that they just memorize that. In the video yesterday, I used the term rule, and that's not really accurate. I mean, I said the rule for major key signatures is you go down a half step from the name of the key, and that's the last sharp. That's really not a rule, it's an observable pattern. So, and all of this stuff, when you're trying to figure it out or understand it, it's good to look for observable patterns. Musical's very symmetrical, and so there's a lot of patterns. So another pattern for minor key signatures that sometimes can be helpful for kids, I always ask them in chromatic order. So if you went chromatically, you'd get, in most cases, 2 of the same alphabetical letter in a row. And the number of flats and then sharps is always going to equal 7. So here's an example. C minor has 3 flats. C sharp minor has 4 sharps. That equals 7 if you just add up the number of whatever they are. So then you go up a half step. There's D minor. Well, there's not a D sharp minor, so we'll skip that one. E flat minor has 6 flats, right? Because E flat major has 3 flats, and you add 3 to that, and that's 6. Well, up a half step from that, E minor only has 1 sharp. Go up another half step. F minor has 4 flats, so you think, oh, he asked me F minor, I knew that was 4 flats, and then F sharp minor was the next question, and that's one of those tricky ones. Well, I know that they would add up to 7 if you put them together, so there was 4, if there's 4 flats in F minor, there must be 3 sharps in F sharp minor, right? So there's just patterns like that. Really, but the easiest way to do it is just memorize the C sharp minor and the F sharp minor, and then just know the major key signatures, and then add 3 flats or take away 3 sharps. As I mentioned, with the major keys, I played the saxophone, and trying to make the point that key signatures are not just a theoretical idea or something that you would say or look at on a piece of paper. They're a practical thing that you understand and execute on a musical instrument. So I'm sitting at the piano now, and I'll talk about that a little bit. And piano is a really great thing to know how to play, even if you don't get to be good at it, but you can see quite clearly chords and scales, and it's a really important part of understanding. So that's why if you become a music major, whether you're a drummer or a saxophone player or a singer, you have to take some piano. You have to learn some basic piano. So we'll take the key of C. That's the one without any of the black keys, any of the sharps or flats. And we could number those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? And if you went from a major to a minor, you lower 3. You add 3 flats to the key signature. Well, it works out that no matter which key signature you're talking about, they always land on the same 3 scale degrees. It comes on the 3rd, the 6th, and the 7th. So a minor key, we lower those. In this case, we'd go to the next flat key, the next black key down. So 1, 2, 3, lower the 3rd. 4 and 5 stay the same. And then 6 and 7 are the flat keys. So that's like a natural minor scale. That's the key signature for C minor. Now in band, we'd play melodic minor scales, and that's what a lot of musicians will practice. And in that case, because in minor key music, classical music, or really any kind of music, a lot of times as you ascend, as you go up, the 6th and 7th scale degrees are not lowered. So you get this sound. And then on the way down, like if you listen to minor Bach or Mozart particularly, that kind of music would have that. So when you're practicing, whether it's on a piano or another instrument, you can break it up into like what they call Tetra Chords, and you can play the first 5 notes and then lower the 3rd and play that over and over again until you get it really good, and then move up to the top part of the scale and go from the 5th to the 8th notes. So that's, and then down. That part of the scale, particularly an instrument like the trombone, where you really have to hear it and to get your slide positions in the right place and understand where the half steps and whole steps are, that's really helpful. So that's a brief kind of explanation of minor key signatures. I hope it helped.